This is your Weather Xtreme video for Saturday, June the 4th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters, and we've got a lot of weather to talk about that's coming our way. There's a look at our surface map for this morning, and we do have a fairly significant surface low moving through the Great Lakes with a cold front trailing down into the central U.S., and that is producing a good deal of showers and thunderstorms over much of the southeastern U.S. and that in combination with a very significant trough for this time of year that stretches from the western Great Lakes down into southern Texas with a little bit of almost a cutoff low over the southern part of Texas, and that is helping to increase moisture, as you can see, coming out of the Gulf. Plus, we've got some activity going on in the Gulf for the next several days. Temperatures across central Alabama didn't drop very much overnight last night and into this morning, with temperatures generally just before daybreak in the 70s across the area. A little bit cooler in the northeastern sections. That little bit of elevation really does help out. And in addition to the clouds, we have some interesting rain going on. We've got that rain ahead of the front that's over Arkansas, Missouri, and parts of Oklahoma. And we've got a little bit of rain over Texas, where over the southeast part where that upper low is. And we've got a bit of a complex of thunderstorms moving through southeastern Alabama. You can see that on the Birmingham weather radar. The watch warning map for today features some flash flood watches along the northwestern Gulf from Louisiana back to Brownsville along all of the Texas coast. Out in the west, those orange and reds that you see are actually heat advisories and watches. And then we do have some flood advisories in the central Rockies. Quantitative precipitation forecast indicates a good deal of rain for the next 5 days coming across the southeastern U.S., and much of that rain is going to come through early Monday. The rain you see from Florida up along the southeast U.S. coast, that is with what is probably going to be named Colin, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. The Storm Prediction Center is outlooking a slight risk over, I guess what you'd call the eastern parts of the Ohio River Valley and a good deal of the Appalachians. That's surrounded by a marginal risk that does take in a little bit of North Alabama. That is for day one. Day two, the slight risk extends from eastern Georgia up along the U.S. East Coast up to Pennsylvania and New Jersey, with an enhanced risk over parts of North Carolina, Virginia, and the Delmarva Peninsula area. And day three, we're just looking at the possibility of thunderstorms. Now, we're still dealing with Bonnie. Bonnie is out in the Atlantic, moving away from the United States and staying north of Bermuda. And then in addition to that, we have an area of disorganized thunderstorms over the western Caribbean. Here's the track of Bonnie. Bonnie expected to become a remnant low here in the next probably 24 hours or so as it stays north of Bermuda. Now, that system that is approaching the Yucatan Peninsula is forecast to strengthen as it comes off the Yucatan Peninsula, strengthen fairly rapidly, and could be named Colin tomorrow evening or early on Monday morning. If the models are right. Now, that's what we're depending on here, but you can see the model tracks. The spaghetti chart here shows a pretty uniform grouping of them, taking it across the central and eastern Gulf into the northern part of the Florida Peninsula and then out into the Atlantic, kind of crossing from north of Tampa to Jacksonville in that area. We'll talk about that, too, as we get into some of the model run. And here's the model run. This is the 06E GFS model run. We'll have a few shots at the European as well. There's a look at our trough coming across the central U.S. and that almost closed low over Texas. And that, of course, producing a good deal of shower activity and thunderstorms all over the eastern third of the country. Sunday, the trough continues to advance fairly quickly, kind of losing that low over the south part of Texas. And, of course, as we're developing something over the Yucatan, it looks like it would be nudged to the northeast ahead of that trough. And, again, with the trough there, it looks like Sunday is going to be another fairly wet day across much of the southeastern U.S. And you can see the GFS indicating the developments of what could potentially become our next tropical system over the Yucatan Peninsula. The trough becomes established on Monday. And that, of course, is good for us because it's going to keep that tropical system from coming our way. And we can see that the GFS is suggesting that the tropical system will move fairly quickly into the eastern Gulf on Monday, approaching the Florida Peninsula. The European, very good, close agreement. There's a few little model differences, as we pointed out in our discussion yesterday, but these differences are relatively small. That is, the positions are a few miles apart, and the pressures are a little bit lower on the European than they are on the GFS. But all in all, there's pretty good agreement. Tuesday, the trough still is the major feature, and by Tuesday and into Wednesday, I think we're going to see some lower humidity finally get into our area. And of course, whatever that tropical system is moves quickly across the state of Florida and into the southwest Atlantic, just off the South Carolina coastline there. So it's going to produce some probably some coastal issues for that area on Tuesday. And once again, the European in good agreement with the position. A little bit difference in the strength, the European being the stronger of the two, but certainly nice to see that confidence level be high as long as the models are in good agreement. We finally get rid of that system on Wednesday as we stay established with this trough. And once again, I think the middle of the week, temperatures are going to be coming up into the 80s, but that's okay. We're also going to have lower humidity, so that's going to make it feel pretty nice as we have at the surface a high-pressure system over Missouri, and that's bringing a bit of a northerly flow across the southeastern U.S. The trough stays with us as the ridge to our west begins to get a little bit closer on Thursday, and the ridge becoming more the feature on Friday. So we'll be beginning to warm up as the surface high pressure migrates to the east and settles in over the southeastern U.S., but we should stay dry through Friday. By the time we get to Saturday, a week from today, we are got a really well-established ridge along the Mississippi River. And for the most part, it looks like we'll probably remain dry, although we could be seeing Saturday enough moisture increase that maybe an isolated shower or two is a possibility. Looking out into voodoo country, the GFS is showing another one of those significant troughs. This one not quite as significant as the one we're experiencing right now. That one moving into the western Great Lakes around Monday, the 13th of June. But the ridge, it moves on by, but the ridge becomes well established between the two. And by the time we get out to the end of the period around the 18th of June, we're well under the ridge pattern. So it looks like by the middle of June, we're back to some summer-like heat. That'll do it for the Weather Xtreme video for this morning. I expect to have the next one posted first thing on Sunday morning by 8 a.m. or so. In the meantime, stay tuned to the blog for notes on Alabama's weather. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Have a great Saturday, and Godspeed.